Live tonight from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it is the Red Light Scrambler Series here for their for their second race of the second round of the playoffs, their final race of the second round actually as well here. 60 laps at Indianapolis coming up in just a few moments' time. As qualifying is wrapping up, this is the Racing Line Broadcasting Network. So thank you everyone and welcome to the Racing Line Broadcasting Network here. Your picture will be up in just a few moments. Just trying to double check to see what the lap counter is set to for the halfway portion of this race, which should be lap 30. As everyone is wrapping up their qualifying time as of right now. So we should be going green here in just a few moments' time. As well as getting your picture up here in just a couple of moments as well. Starting grid is not getting set up yet. We actually still have about 35 seconds remaining here in qualifying. It is a overcast day, mostly cloudy, I should say. That's what seems to be more visible, at least here at this racetrack. So this cool racetrack and the new package could play into effect for this race here this season at this rectangle, which I refuse to call an oval. I'm a little bit biased towards that, only because it's shaped more like a rectangle than it is an oval for Indianapolis here. You can see some of the wind over on the flags on the right-hand side of the screen, and as the starting grid gets set up, we will get everything set up over here on this end as well in just a couple of moments. It's going to be a pretty long race here, 60 laps for tonight's scheduled race. So as we get everything set up over here, we'll go over your starting grid for tonight's race. Starting on the front row, we have Brendan Minto in the number 20, actually knocking off the the 88 of Sean Butler for the pole position, quite interestingly enough. So Sean Butler not on the pole for this week, but he will be starting second, just 41/10ths of a second behind, just 4/10ths of a second actually. Starting in third place will be the 51 of DJ Anderson, the 01 of Richard Murdoch, who again has vowed that if he gets into the top 4, he will bring the Flames back. So hopefully we will see that soon. He starts in fourth place. Rounding out the top 5 is the 12 of William Long. And to his outside is the number 2 of Joshua Buckley. Honestly, this starting grid should be a little bit reversed, but we are going by the driver's perspective here, as Leo Bordage in the number 7 starts on the inside in position at number 7, with a very nice custom number there, as Tim Blum starts to the outside in position number 8 in that number 10. And James Skelton in the 86 starts in the 9th place position. Andy Lee in the 25 rounds out the top 10. Patrick Orr and Kevin O'Brien will start 11th and 12th place respectively. And rounding out your small 14-car field here today will be the 984 of Christopher Rothrock and the 4 of Kyle Souza, who I believe is running the same paint scheme as Joshua Buckley. I don't think Kyle Souza got the memo. But as per usual, welcome once again to the Racing Line Broadcasting Network. I am the one-man crew, as per usual, the one and only, at least over here, Gary Weaver. Again, thanks for watching. 60 laps here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Up next in just a few moments' time. And as per usual, any drivers on the ticker labeled in green are in line to advance. Any drivers labeled in red are in line to get eliminated. After this week, it's going to be a split into half here, as 4 drivers will make it in within 3 weeks. 4 drivers will not, and it will be Atlanta being the deciding race here, as my microphone wire has apparently decided to go a little bit broken once again, unfortunately. However, thankfully it has not become much of a major issue. Spares are on standby, so if anything does happen, you will be notified through this purple bar up here, which can be customized. So you will be notified if anything does happen, like a microphone being out or no commentary. As I was saying, the usual sights and sounds commentary, or the usual sights and sounds without commentary, etc., etc. So the pace car pulls into pit road. We're going green here for 60 laps at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Brendan Minto down the front straightaway brings the field to the green flag, and we are racing at Indianapolis. So you could be seeing some 3-wide action early on, and look at that already down to the inside. It's going to be DJ Anderson. Sean Butler coming through right behind, slipping into that spot just enough, just between the gap of William Lawn and Anderson. As a little bit of contact is made, or at least almost a little bit of contact, Minto tries to defend the position. We're going to be seeing a lot of side-by-side battles here with this new aero package, but up front it will be DJ Anderson bringing the field to the start-finish line for the first lap lead of the night. Attempting to make it 3 wide. It was the 01 there. You saw him peek down to the inside of the 88, but he chose not to make it 3 wide. A very smart decision, as Kevin O'Brien, in line to be eliminated, is currently last in the field. Look at the 20 of Minto. Ever since the start of the race, he's been dropping positions left and right. And it may be William Long that's going to be up next to pass him, if he can get directly behind the 01, that is. At the moment now, it's just a battle for 3rd place and a battle for 5th place. Now 5th place goes to the 12 of William Long, so maybe a little bit of a brewing battle here for position at number 3 as we ride on board the 01 of Murdoch. I'm expecting at least 2 pit stops here for tonight's race. Although I may be just a bit incorrect on that. We'll find out later on in this race, as everybody is currently single file, unless you're Kyle Souza, is making his way down to the inside, trying to get by Christopher Rothrock in the 984. And that will not happen, unfortunately. Remember, Kyle Souza had set out, had chosen to take Richmond off to go to a real-life event, so he is not in the playoffs anymore. Look at James Skelton down to the inside, so a little bit of a move there in the background, as Joshua Buckley will now be getting passed by the 7 of Leo Bordage down the back straightaway. Here comes Patrick Orr to the inside. I think these guys are bump drafting, actually, and I would not be surprised if that was the case as we ride on board 981 of Patrick. So we ride on board the 981 and Power. And for the moment, it's Leo Bordage and the 981 Patrick Orr that were side by side. Now it's going to be Andy Lee, possibly getting bump drafted, I think. 10 of Tim Blum. Definitely being followed for sure. Look at the 981 just cutting off the nose. Entering turn number 1. Oh, and that's going to keep... Oh, the caution is definitely going to come out. There goes Patrick Orr. That's the 984 of Rothrock as well. Caution does not come out. That's what was so far in the back of the field, but it's the 981 of Patrick Orr. His engine is still running. He's trying to get it around. The 984 of Christopher Rothrock was also involved. We'll take a look at the rest of the field before we go to a replay. So we're going to check out that replay. Okay, so it may actually be time to replace the wire here. Yeah, it's definitely time to replace the wire. So we'll do that during a double wide segment here, just as to not interrupt. But here's a replay on your screen. Patrick Orr goes a little bit too wide, hits the outside wall, collects the 25, hard shot, 984 spins out. 25, Andy Lee also got a piece of that on his front bumper, so we'll get a replay of that as well. And then we'll go back to your live TV. Now just nowhere to go. So going back live, we have Sean Butler now in the lead as he has finally gotten by. DJ Anderson, and that is actually the first time that Sean Butler has gotten around DJ Anderson for this race. So Patrick Orr currently sits in pit road. Sitting in second place will be DJ Anderson. Third place is Brandon Minto with a 0-1 of Richard Murdoch directly on his back bumper. So we'll move down to the inside for position number 3. Down the back straightaway, Chevy versus Chevy as they head down into the corner through the short chute of turn 4 as Minto looks to make a crossover move, but it will not happen. Through turn 4 they go. William Long breathing down the back bumper of the 20 again. Brendan Minto has essentially dropped ever since the start of this race. I don't believe he didn't even get the first lap led. I know the very first lap of the race counts coming to the green, the initial green flag. But if it didn't, then it's quite unfortunate. So your top 4 are all Chevrolets. Fifth place is rounded out by a Ford, which is the 12 of William Long. And he may be breaking that up just in this. No, actually, no. He's going to bump draft the 20 of Brendan Minto down the back straightaway. Taking advantage of this new air package. You see how far William Long had let off the throttle. And how early as well. Very smart move. See if he gets right on top of the back bumper here in just a few moments. Down the front straightaway. Lets off a little bit. Lets off a lot, actually. He's going to get into the clutches of James Skelton there. So William Long bouncing in between the 20 and the 86 in 5th place. As Sean Butler, being Sean Butler, is still... actually, once again, putting on a dominant performance here. So coming to lap number 10 of 60, going to be 50 laps to go as Patrick Orr is choosing to repair all of his damage for the time being here in this machine, unfortunately. And he's going to try and just limp that thing home as undamaged as possible, but unfortunately it's already been damaged, so he's not really going to have a big advantage here. 984 Christopher Rothrock was also involved in that contact as he almost gets to the wall off turn number 2 there. sorry, turn number 1. Not used to a split ovals, or split turns, I should say. Meanwhile, for 5th place, it's going to be James Skelton and William Long side by side for about not even 5 seconds. As James Skelton immediately goes right by. Same with Tim Blum going right by the 2 of Joshua Buckley with a little help from Andy Lee down the front straightaway with a little bit of a bump draft as well. Taking a massive advantage here of this new aero package. As we are currently at 50 laps to go, and the 25 doesn't really know what to do at the moment. Trying to get as low as possible on the racetrack to try and get by Joshua Buckley, but Buckley hangs on to that 9th place for the time being. So Brandon Minto actually will go through your portion of the field here. Pretty much the whole field, as well, Sean Butler is 1 position up from where he has started. As the 0-1 of Richard Murdoch heavily hits the outside wall there on the right-hand side of the screen in the background there. If you didn't catch it, we'll show a quick replay here in just a few moments. He led off, but it just was not enough. So unfortunately now, Richard Murdoch is stuck with that damage on the right-hand side until the next pit cycle. And we'll probably replace the microphone wires here in a second, but we'll do a double wide segment as well in between. Thanks again to everybody for joining, and go ahead and say hello in the chat if you do so, please. I thought the 88 was going to slam the outside wall there off of turn number 2, but hello to Isaac over in the chat. Thanks for tuning in here to the Racing Line Broadcasting Network. Back to our originally scheduled planning here. Sean Butler 1 position up from where he has started. He's currently 1st, and so far set the most laps led of the day. DJ Anderson with 5 laps led. He is also 1 position up from where he had started. Need for Speed Motorsports positions 1 and 2 for the time being. Richard Murdoch, who has recently nailed the outside wall there off of turn number 4, currently sits in P3, also 1 position up from where he has started. However, 3 positions down from where he had started, the pole sitter Brendan Minto, who didn't even get the initial lap led, actually the first complete lap led. Initial lap, of course, he has led that, so hopefully Minto can recover, as James Skelton is currently 5th after starting in 9th as he runs up the top 10. Speaking of 10, not sure what the heck had happened to Tim Blum there, but my goodness, I saw someone dive to the inside off the corner. We'll just stick with the top 5 for the time being, as this is a battle for 7th place. Leo Bordage in the number 7 appropriately starts in 7th. Well, now he's currently fallen back to 8th place. So we'll see what he can do if he can recover. But Joshua Buckley, however, may have something to say about that. As Buckley peeks down to the inside, decides against it. Andy Lee sits in 10th. And sitting in between all these drivers who we skipped over is William Long. And I think Murdoch just got the outside wall there off of turn number 3. He's definitely falling back as Brendan Minto moves up 1 position. We could have a 3-wide situation on the front straightaway as Skelton dives down to the inside, 3 wide, and diving all over the racetrack. They make contact down the back straightaway as well. Front straightaway, sorry. A little bit of a door slam there. I think I kind of broke my vocal cords there. Richard Murdoch is not laying that position up without a fight, but it's not going to happen, however. All over the racetrack are those 3 drivers for that 1 position, and all in all, Brendan Minto just lost another position, and here he goes to lose another one as William Long slingshots straight by Brendan Minto. Not sure if Minto had purposely let Long by, or if there was just that much of a momentum difference between both of the drivers. As William Long looked down to the inside, look up to the top side as pit stops are happening 15 laps in as Minto dives down to the inside, and a little more damage. A little damage, actually. As Sean Butler, your pole sitter, was the first driver to come into pit road. Your leader at the time. Brendan Minto second on the pit road, and same with Richard Murdoch. Brendan Minto has a wild pit entry there. We'll see what that had looked like there from his on board, as he already had this left side damage on his hood. As we show you this replay, that left side damage on his hood is what he already had. I think he expected Murdoch to slow up that quickly, but from that, oh yeah, he may have gotten a slowdown penalty. Not sure as of yet. Looking at his current time, he did not get a slowdown penalty for pit entry, so he is 100% safe to continue racing here. Top 4 entering pit road, and pretty much everybody else is a mad scramble as DJ Anderson, James Skelton, William Long, Tim Blum, Andy Lee, Joshua Buckley, Leo Bordage, Kevin O'Brien, and Kyle Souza are all in pit road. This is going to be interesting. You know, Skelton and Long side by side. And it looks like Skelton just got a little bit lucky there. The 984 of Rothrock is down in the way. He is one lap down. And the 7 has overshot his pit box, unfortunately. Same with somebody in the background there. I think the 184 of Kevin O'Brien is also having complications. He did. So, all in all, DJ Anderson first in, first out. Same with, actually, no, Sean Butler. Yeah, no, sorry. Sorry about that. Sean Butler currently in your lead now, but DJ Anderson was first in, first off the pit road. Tim Blum second off. Third off pit road was the 12 of William Long, as these drivers got to exit on the back straightaway last time I checked. Yeah, Tim Blum exiting on the back straightaway. There's the blue cone. Oh, some of these drivers, unless I look at these drivers incorrectly, I think some of these drivers have already exited pit road, so we'll see if anyone has to come down the pit road for unsafe pit exit. I don't believe so. But we are very spread out here. So we'll see what happens here over the course of this race, as we'll once again go through your entire field for this race at the moment. Sean Butler's still putting on a dominant clinic here, as he is first on the racetrack. DJ Anderson still remains in second. Brendan Minto back up to third. Richard Murdoch absolutely went nowhere aside from the outside wall. As you can see, his damage there. Oh, a bit of a close moment there. He slammed the outside wall there off of turn number 4 a few laps ago, before pit stops had taken place, which explains the right-hand damage on his vehicle. Tim Blum, 3 positions up from where he started. He rounds up the top 5 for the time being. William Long has been sitting in the top 6 for a majority of this race so far. James Skelton, 2 positions up. He currently sits in 7th. Joshua Buckley, 2 positions lower. He's currently 8th. Andy Lee, however, may have something to say about it, as he's currently 1 position up from his top 10 starting position, as they will swap positions here. Entering turn number 3, Andy Lee with heavy right side damage. A little bit of contact earlier with the 984, 981 unintentionally off of from an incident off of turn number 2. Kyle Souza in the lookalike car, as he's just going to be sliding off turn number 4, and appropriately enough, no, never mind, I thought he was going to head to pit road, but he will be currently 11th as Leo Bordage takes over the top 10 position. Now it's Kyle Souza in the lookalike car for Joshua Buckley. Somebody stole Joshua. I don't believe Joshua Buckley knew that they made the paint scheme for the Ford. As Kevin O'Brien. Gotta love microphones. Apologies for that. Kevin O'Brien sits in 12th place. 13th is Christopher Rothrock. And Patrick Orr is out of this race, 12 laps down at the moment from heavy damage. He has chosen to retire early on in this race in 14th, unfortunately. So with 40 laps to go and semi-broken microphone, we're going to take a little bit of a break here. Double wide for this for these next few laps here. You won't really miss a single thing. As per usual, this is the Racing Line Broadcasting Network, and just before we go, in case you're new here, the names labeled in green on the ticker are drivers that are in line in the top 8 to advance to the next round. Drivers that are labeled in red, like Kevin O'Brien, for example, well, he's in line to be eliminated, and he may be eliminated here at the end of this race. We'll find out what happens after this. I think we're missing another driver here, actually. I think we are missing another driver here. I do remember specifically being 2 drivers. It may just be 1 driver here. We're going to double check before we head double wide. As your standings coming into this race, your last 2 drivers, for sure, Kevin O'Brien and Ryan O'Donnell, that's who that was. Unfortunately, he is for sure out, as he did not show up for this week. So see what happens here. But other than that, though, as we head to double wide, this is the Racing Line Broadcasting Network, and you'll see the upcoming races here as well on the Racing Line Broadcasting Network being shown in the bottom left-hand corner during double wide. So don't go anywhere. You won't miss a single thing. This is the Red Light Scrambler Series. We'll be right back.
The most realistic online racing sim ever made. This is iRacing. Detailed laser scan tracks, fully dynamic real world cars, and over 50 series to choose from. 6 online world championships offering over $100,000 in annual prizes. This is the original esport racing game. This is iRacing.
We are back here on the Racing Line Broadcasting Network as Kyle Souza had apparently went to pit road just a few laps ago. Not sure what for, but unfortunately he has decided to retire the car. And we don't know exactly what happened to him, so we will get your picture back up here in just a couple of moments as Sean Butler continues to lead the way here at Indianapolis. Andy Lee currently in pit road, drops back to 11th place on the lead lap. So we are nearing the halfway point of this race. This will be lap 30, so 30 laps to go in just a couple of laps as DJ Anderson is second. We've seen these drivers last for about 15 laps here with these with the fuel that we have at the moment, so we're essentially halfway over with this race, quite literally in projected time and the actual race length itself. So we'll see if anything can come of that, as the cloud cover has seemed to return here. Andy Lee still sitting in pit road, possibly getting some of that damage repaired on the right front of that machine. You can see, even though it's pretty obvious there, he does have the engine running. Oh, not anymore. He may be out of the vehicle now, but you can see the damage here for the most part. Also including that pit stall, apparently, according to my circling abilities. We'll see if anything comes of this here in just a few laps time. So 30 laps completed once Sean Butler crosses the start finish line once again. He has a 4.5 second gap between himself and the 51 of DJ Anderson. Tim Blum currently sits here in the 3rd place position. Wayne Long sits 4th. 5th place, James Skelton. And your pole sitter, Brandon Minto, unfortunately has stopped dropping down the field for the most part. There may be a problem here with the 86? That's not the 86, actually. Who is that? That's Christopher Rothrock. Sorry. I thought that was a driver on the lead lap that was out of fuel. Turns out it's a driver that's not on the lead lap that may actually be out of fuel. Now it's trying to get out of the way of everyone else. So Brandon Minto has finally stopped dropping positions down the field, but Richard Murdoch may have something to say about that. Joshua Buckley currently in 8th, 9th place, Leo Bordage, 10th place. The last driver on the lead lap is Kevin O'Brien. Himself and Sean Butler about halfway between each other on the racetrack. So we're currently halfway. And DJ Anderson is closing the gap ever so slightly. He's closed the gap by about 0.2 of a second, but we may be seeing some pit stops occur here. And yep, there goes Sean Butler, first one to blink. Will DJ Anderson follow suit? He will not. About Tim Blum. Tim Blum opts to go to pit road. Same with William Long. James Skelton stays out. Brendan Minto comes into pit road. Richard Murdoch as well. Leo Bordage and others may stay out. So we'll see how Sean Butler fares here on his second pit stop of the day. That's a terrible camera angle, unfortunately, but this is why we have multiple camera angles. He's smooth into his pit box. Tim Blum also smooth in. Same with the 12 of William Blum, the 01 of Murdoch, and the 20 of Minto, both perfectly into their pit box. And already with a great advantage, it's going to be Sean Butler, and that's just because he got to pit road way before everybody else, because he was so far out ahead of everyone else. So DJ Anderson gets an extra lap led, comes to pit road. James Skelton may be following suit. Actually, he will not. So James Skelton gets a lap led here at Indianapolis onto the front straightaway. Joshua Buckley opts to go to pit road. Same with Leo Bordage. Kevin O'Brien for sure coming to pit road by that exit line. So James Skelton stays out an extra lap. We'll take a look at the 51, who barely slides into his pit box. The 2 of Joshua Buckley will come into his pit box as well. Same with a 7 of Bordage. Directly behind him, Kevin O'Brien in the 184, taking the slow route and the last route down into his pit box. A lot better compared to last time where he had messed up, unfortunately. So James Skelton has finally decided to come into pit road after leading 1 lap, which means as Sean Butler goes into turns 3 and 4, actually James Skelton may get a second lap led here at the start-finish line. And he will, as he's got a sizable gap between himself and Sean Butler. But unfortunately, it will be Sean Butler taking over once again. As he comes across the start-finish line, he'll be scored in second, but he'll be getting by the 86 in real time about 5 seconds ago. So now it could be William Long and Tim Blum waiting for the ticker to cycle through. Actually, it could be Richard Murdoch that is in line to be eliminated, and scratch that. Maybe incorrect there, as I'm relying on the start-finish line timing, which is what the ticker goes off of to reduce confusion. And also any overlay breaking bugs, but it will be Sean Butler for sure in first place. Second place, DJ Anderson. Third place is Tim Blum, and he's not too far behind. In fact, the closest battle on the racetrack is between Brendan Minto and Richard Murdoch, the 20 and the 01. Remember, the 01 had hit the wall, the outside wall there off of turn number 4 many laps ago before the first set of pit stops early on into this race. And trying to chase down Brendan Minto as well as best as possible. And he's doing that. He's actually caught up to the back bumper. Will he pass or will he bump draft the 20 down the back straightaway is my question that could be answered. Now, I didn't think of the third option actually of just not enough momentum for Murdoch. And you can see there the damage on the right side of the car. As the cowl flap is a little bit bent inwards there. So 25 laps to go for Sean Butler. DJ Anderson, Tim Blum still second and third for the time being. Looks like Tim Blum was a little bit loose there off of turn number 1, but he does seem to be hanging on to it as best as he can as William Long rounds out 4th place. 5th place still Brendan Minto, as Richard Murdoch has not really managed to close the gap anymore. Leo Bordage and Joshua Buckley over here, a 7 and the 2 respectively. Those two have not exactly, they haven't left each other per se, but they also really haven't caught up to each other as well. So it could be the driver in front of the pursuing car that may be getting a little bit of an advantage. Or it could just be the unlucky, at least in Richard Murdoch's case, it could be the unlucky chance of having damage. So we're going to ride on board Sean Butler for a few laps. Actually, we're going to ride on board Richard Murdoch for a few laps, just to see what he sees in front of him, at least a couple of laps here. And we'll just let his engine do the talking here. We'll wait till he gets to the front straightaway. And this could be a quiet couple of laps here, as we have 23 laps to go. So as you heard, it was Richard Murdoch's engine as you continue to listen to it for the time being, that he's letting off into the corners, not really using the brake by the looks of it, although he's getting insanely close to the outside wall. That'd make me a bit uncomfortable and probably lose a little bit more speed. But look at this, James Skelton in 7th place on the right-hand side of your screen. Coming into the picture ever so slightly, Joshua Buckley, meanwhile, for 8th place, trying to break the draft between himself and Leo Bordage in that number 7 machine. Meanwhile, Sean Butler, as per usual, leading the way here. Nothing really different. DJ Anderson sits 4th place. Sorry, DJ Anderson sits in 2nd. 3rd place is the 10 of Tim Blum. William Long sits 4th. 5th place going to be Brandon Minto as we hit 20 laps to go. I think James Skelton is actually closing the gap, and he is. Yeah, he's definitely closing the gap. We'll get the graphic up in just a couple of moments here. As they head down into turn number 3, you can see the gap between Richard Murdoch, who we're focused on, and James Skelton, who is just on the right-hand side of the picture. There he is, occasionally popping in. That's Slim Jim's Toyota Camry. I guess all the Ford drivers heard me earlier on in this race, or anybody not of a Chevrolet manufacturer, and they decided to make their way into the top 10 because originally it was the top 4 being all Chevrolet, and now it's the top 2 being Chevy, and then at 3rd and 4th are Ford Fusions. 5th place and 6th place back to Chevrolets, and now it's James Skelton who may break that up in his Toyota here in just a few laps time. You can see the distance, it's clearly closing, and this is essentially the closest battle that we have here on the racetrack. You can see that James Skelton has clearly closed the gap there within just about a lap as he dives down to the inside for position number 6 as the cloud cover hits turns 3 and 4, squeezes the L1 into the outside wall, so there's more damage to the outside of Richard Murdoch, unfortunately, as now James Skelton moves up to position number 6. He may find himself in the top 5 here as he is on a mission here, and we should see the position swap here at the start-finish line at the ticker. It's not enough time, actually, so we'll see that for a few moments as James Skelton, of course, is being shown as in. Same with Richard Murdoch as that timing resets itself. But for the time being, it's a very clear track up ahead for the 88 of Sean Butler. And as you can see, he has a 6.5 second gap, just about 6.7 seconds between himself and DJ Anderson after taking over the lead from DJ Anderson, who had taken over the lead from Brendan Minto on the initial start of this race. So it's been a very busy race, about 3-4 lead changes at the start-finish line. James Skelton managed to lead a couple of laps. I believe a lap, actually. No, he managed to lead 2 laps, and that was pretty much it. So, nearing 15 laps to go. And, well, you can just see how empty the track is. In fact, if we look on the onboard here, that's how empty the track is for Sean Butler. Just a bunch of clean air and absolutely nobody around him. So, essentially, it's like a qualifying session, but heavily extended and set on a time limit. Actually, no, that's a qualifying session. A longer qualifying session, then. So not much going on for Sean Butler. Neither Not anything much going on for DJ Anderson, who sits second as well. Tim Blum sits third, just on the frame. In third place, William Long decides to head to pit road, so we could be seeing our last set of pit stops here to the end of this race. William Long is the first one to blink. We've seen these drivers again last about 15 to 16 laps on their stint that they have done. James Skelton, Richard Murdoch, Joshua Buckley, and Leo Bordage as well all head to pit road. So 5 drivers in pit road. That's 5th through 9th that currently sit in pit road. He's making their way down into their pit stalls. William Long, no trouble. Richard Murdoch looks to be in no trouble at all either. Joshua Buckley pulling into his pit box. Some of the 7 of Bordage locks up the front tires, but very smooth maneuvering as well. It's William Long, I believe, only just took, I don't think he even, did he just take fuel? I believe William Long only took fuel, but other than that, though, DJ Anderson stays out as Sean Butler comes into pit road along with Tim Blum in the very far back. I mean, the gap between themselves in pit road is about 9 seconds, supposedly. I doubt that, but other than that, Brendan Minto currently sits 4th place. He is on pit road. Sean Butler taking some right side tires. Will the left sides go up on his vehicle as well? They will. Look at the 20 of Minto just now coming into his pit box after traveling that entire length, and he overshoots after all of that. Oh, after all that traveling for Brendan Minto, he overshoots his pit box. And just to back up, DJ Anderson comes into pit road as well. So DJ Anderson leads his first double digits here of the day on his 10th lap lead. And it's all about to be taken away by Sean Butler in just a few moments as he gets around Christopher Rothrock, who decides to go to the pit road after staying out as long as he could. And just now the right sides are going up as Sean Butler passes him down into turns 1 and 2. So these drivers can make it, and it's just a matter of endurance at this point. Down the long, empty pack straightaway for Sean Butler. I feel kind of bad for him. And DJ Anderson is about to get a little bit of a surprise as he gets shoved down to position number 3 and position number 4 as both Tim Blum and William Long pass him by outside, or off of turn number 2 on the outside on the back straightaway. So positions will be reset at the start-finish line here once these drivers make their way through. Now it's your top 3, or your top 4 in a sense. 2nd through 4th. All in a little bit of a blanket, as it looks like James Skelton has a little bit of company in the form of Richard Murdoch for the top 5. If you're Richard Murdoch, you have to wonder, when do I make the pass? Do I do it right now? Or do I just sit here on this back bumper for the entire remainder of the race? And going off of the lap times, they're virtually identical, just about 0.04 seconds of a difference, with the advantage going to Richard Murdoch. And specifics is a 51.025 for Richard Murdoch. James Skelton with a 51.066. And that's pretty much it. So Sean Butler, Richard Murdoch doesn't really have much to do at this point. So we'll see if Richard Murdoch actually decides to make an attempt here in the closing laps, as it will be 10 laps to go for Sean Butler, as Tim Blum is going to be a little bit under fire from the 51 of DJ Anderson. Blum decides to block the inside lane. He's going to make DJ Anderson work for that top for that top 2 there. I'll see if he does the same thing here on the front straightaway, defending the inside lane. That's going to make DJ Anderson bomb draft him down the front straightaway all the way down to the inside. I'd shoot up to the outside if I was him right now, but he decides against it, scrapes the outside wall enough to somehow get damage, and not anymore. So that'll automatically fix itself. Welcome to Netcode Predictions. As to the inside goes DJ Anderson for second place, but it's not going to be much here for DJ Anderson. I mean, it's been, well, maybe not. Tim Blum actually has the advantage off the corner. Halfway down the back straightaway, it's advantage to the number 10 into turn 3, however, get the preferred line and the second place to DJ Anderson. So coming across the start-finish line with 9 laps to go, it's Sean Butler in first. Second place, DJ Anderson trying to break the draft from Tim Blum in third. William Long in fourth. James Skelton, Richard Murdoch, and now Brendan Minto are fifth, sixth, and seventh. Brendan Minto recently joining the little 2-train party, or the 2-car party, which is now going to be a 3-car party for position number 5. So we could be setting ourselves up for a little bit of a battle here, as Leo Bordage in the number 7 currently sits in 8th place. Joshua Buckley in the number 2 sits position number 9, and riding out the top 10 on the last driver on the lead lap is Kevin O'Brien. Andy Lee in 11th is 1 lap down, along with Christopher Rothbrock, who's not too far behind, but far enough to really not make a difference for the time being. Kyle Souza had retired early on. He is currently 32 laps down. Patrick Orr has also retired earlier on as well. He is 45 laps down. 2 drivers out of this race. 2 drivers off of the lead lap, 10 on the lead lap. And we have 8 laps to go, as that second, third, and fourth train has split up very quickly. And that's about as quickly as James Skelton getting away from Richard Murdoch. He has to battle Brendan Minto for position number 6 here. If Brendan Minto can find some type of a line, and he may do just that. Down to the inside he goes. The 01 is not really going to make a massive attempt to defend that inside lane. He may actually back off and give that position to the 20 of Minto, as Minto moves up to position number 6, but I may have spoken too soon. The 01, while he's running his top side, let's have a little bit of momentum off of the corners. So I believe they're actually side by side down the front straightaway, and they are. So it's going to be Murdoch in 6th place at the start-finish line. So Richard Murdoch finally falls in behind the number 20. I was about to say, he could be hanging on to the outside for quite a while. Now, never mind, as he dives to the outside to make a pass. That's going to really slow his entry. That's going to really damage his entry speed. I think at 20... a little bit too high of an exit line as well, so we'll see if these two meet each other here in a few moments in these closing laps of this race. As Tim Blum sits 3rd, DJ Anderson continues to sit 2nd, and on the top of the podium, who just made it 6 laps to go, it is the 88 of Sean Butler. As per usual, this will not be the first time that Sean Butler has won a race. Again, he's won, at this rate, I believe he's won 6 races. I'm going to double check that statistic here in just a couple of moments here. As coming across, here we go. Sean Butler has won 6 races in a row. Max Terrio has won 4 races. And Tim Blum has won his first race 2 weeks ago, after having a little bit of a runner-up streak unintentionally for a few of these races. So the winningest driver, which I believe is actually a real term, is going to be Sean Butler. I mean, after all, it has been Sean Butler for a while, ever since those, probably ever since the 3rd, 4th race that he won in a row. He hasn't won since. It's been a long 3-race winless streak for Sean Butler, so he hasn't won for officially over a calendar month. Over a calendar month and 4 days, he has not won a race. This may be a little bit of a winless streak break, if you can call it that. I mean, for Sean Butler, it's just another everyday race for him, I believe. But he will for sure lock himself in to the next round. Max Terrio has locked himself into round 3 with the top 8 drivers, and it will be Sean Butler locking himself in. And everyone else after that, we're going to have to wait to see, possibly until next week, to see who places where. So, next race in your final round of the Red Light Scrambler Series playoffs, it heads, I should say, down to Bristol Motor Speedway, where these drivers will take to that track for 200 laps. So he's currently set for 200 laps. That's going to be interesting for the Last Great Coliseum, as that next week we will, after Bristol, we will then head into the next race, which will be Chicagoland. And then finally for the race ending, the season end, and your top 4 drivers in the playoffs, they will battle it out over at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And we'll see how that plays out for them there at that race. Meanwhile, for Sean Butler, it's still 3 laps to go. It's coming to 2 laps to go this time around. So we'll see what happens after that. As per usual, races here for the Red Light Scrambler Series live at about 8:05 p.m. Eastern Time. As 8:05 p.m. Eastern Time. As well as a couple other series. We'll be wrapping up the final series here in June. June 13th will be the last broadcast here for a while, as that's going to be a little bit of a hiatus just to deal with life and catch everything up. Also a little bit of a break, because everyone needs a break once in a while. However, the person that does not need a break is the 88 of Sean Butler, because he apparently is not tired of winning. His internet might be, occasionally. I mean, at Richmond it showed that his internet did not want him to win, but this week he's sticking it to his internet, and again, everybody else, for possibly the 7th time in a row, as Christopher Rothrock did not know where to go for a second. Had the intention of going down to the inside. A great heads-up maneuver there as we are on the final lap here for this race. Green flag all the way through. 3 pit stops in between all of them, and it will be taken over by Sean Butler after 48 laps at the start-finish line, at least. Sean Butler will lock himself into the next round. He will be a part of the top 8 drivers. We'll have to see who the other 6 will be heading into next week in a few moments after this race. However, again, Sean Butler, for the 7th time this season, comes off of turn number 4, down the back straightaway, and taking a while across the start-finish line. But other than that, he at this point officially wins at Indianapolis Motor Speedway for the 7th time in a, well, not in a row. For the 7th time this season, breaking his 1-month, 4-day winless streak, if you can call it that. Essentially, it is. I think he's immediately saving just so he can do burnouts. Rothrock going to give him a little bit of a congratulatory bump draft and maybe push him to the front straightaway. Nope, never mind. I thought he was going to do that. Oh, pit maneuver. Oh, don't spin him out. Okay, a little bit more congratulatory than Rothrock intended. DJ Anderson officially finishes 2nd. Need for Speed teammate with Sean Butler, and Tim Blum finishes 3rd. We'll get an interview with your top 3 there in just a few moments. Let's go through your finishing order here, as these guys are going to wreck, I swear. Are they trying to pass inspection? I feel like they're trying to pass inspection here, but your finishing results here are Sean Butler. That's incorrect. We'll get that corrected here in just a couple of moments. There we go. Sean Butler, DJ Anderson, and Tim Blum, your top three. We'll get an interview with them here in just a couple of moments. No break in between. William Long finishes fourth. James Skelton finishes fifth. Brendan Minto, Richard Murdoch, Leo Bordage, Joshua Buckley, and Kevin O'Brien finish 6th through 10th. As Andy Lee, Christopher Rothrock, Kyle Souza, and Patrick Orr finish in your 14th place position, 11th through 14th. As okay, that's actually really clever. So Need for Speed teammates burning it down on the front straightaway. Yep, there's Joshua Buckley. Well, he did burn down for a few moments. But definitely finishing up 1-2 are both Sean Butler and DJ Anderson. So get an interview here in just a couple of moments' time. We're not going to commercial. We'll just get a quick loss of picture here for a few moments' time. But congratulations once again to the 88 of Sean Butler on his 7th win this season. You'll speak with your third place finisher, Tim Blum, here in just a couple of moments. You'll be making your way up the order as well. So we'll see what these drivers have to say for their finish here this afternoon at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. As we'll get everything checked out once again and reset, and we'll start with the number 10 of Tim Blum finishing third place. Not too bad of a race for you, Mr. Tim Blum. Congratulations on your third place finish for this week, and well, at least you did win last week, so it's not too bad to possibly go back to a podium finish.
Yeah, it was a good run. Started pretty far in the back, and I was just glad I was able to make it through.
Yeah, it's very pretty relieving for sure as well, especially in a little bit of essentially an endurance race like this. What are your thoughts throughout the race on pretty much strategy or just anything else overall?
Well, you probably hear it from DJ and Sean, but man, these cars just they feel so good those first few laps, and then it's like a switch turns on, and then they just really push, and they're really hard to hit your marks. And if you blow one corner, it you pay for it the whole lap. So that was a challenge.
Definitely an interesting challenge for sure, but again, luckily you managed to pull off a third place finish. So heading into next week's final round, I should say, for Bristol and Chicagoland, what are your thoughts on that next round?
Bristol will be interesting. Even in real life, it was a great race. So I'm expecting the same next week. And Chicago probably be a strategy race. So you can't let your guard down. You got to race hard at Bristol, and you got to race smart at Chicago, and hopefully you end up at Atlanta.
Hopefully that is the case for you. So before we let you go, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to for your third place here this week?
Same old, same old. Thanks to you for broadcasting. I think my dad's watching, so hey, Dad. Hope I did all right for you. And then we'll see y'all next week.
I definitely did okay. You definitely did great. So hopefully we'll see you next week in the top 8 and hopefully in the top 4.
Hopefully. We'll see.
All right. Thank you for your time, and congratulations again on your third place.
Thanks.
So that is Tim Blum. Next driver on the board is going to be the number 51 of DJ Anderson, who Need for Speed teammate finishes second to Sean Butler. But, I mean, it's not too terrible since you were fourth place coming into this race here. So not too bad. Pretty relieving for sure that you may actually have a shot at getting in the Final Four here in just a couple of weeks. But before we get to that, how was your race overall?
I was pretty good. I think I pushed a little too hard at that first run, and Sean got away from me. But all in all, it was pretty good to be 1-2, and we kind of felt good practicing here. So it was nice to be able to put the practice in and actually get a good result and come in 1-2. So I think if I can make it through the next 2, I think I have a good shot at Atlanta in this A-car package.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting package for sure. We've seen that on the start of this race. caution free as well. So essentially an endurance race, which is pretty interesting. That I never really see often at Indianapolis, but it's pretty interesting to see. However, so before we actually getting a step ahead of myself here. For this race overall, nope, scratch that. Next 2 weeks for Bristol and Chicagoland. What are your thoughts heading into that third round?
I think I should be okay at Bristol as long as I don't get in trouble. Um, Chicagoland is kind of iffy. I'm usually top 5 in the league here. The last time we ran in the B car there. So I think if I can have a good solid finish at Bristol, I think I should be okay going into Chicagoland.
Yeah, hopefully that is the case. Just have to get one solid finish and possibly a second one, and you pretty much be good to go from there. So before we go ahead and let you go, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to for your second place finish here this week?
Yeah, red light, for holding these races. It's fun to race with those guys. My teammates, we work hard during the week to get prepared for this race. And for you doing the broadcast, it's fun to go back and watch it. And, I hope we can just keep it up and get a better show next week.
And it's definitely going to be interesting for sure. Nope, I already asked that question. Again, getting a step ahead of myself here, but we're going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations again on your second place finish.
Thanks. I'll see you next week. Maybe I can talk to you again.
Yeah, we certainly hope so. That's a terrible tone of voice right there. Oh man, certainly hope so for sure. I need to work on tone of voice there, but here's someone who's not a stranger to these interviews whatsoever. After 6 other ones, I'm pretty sure you should know it's coming right now, Mr. Sean Butler.
Yeah, it's been a while though.
It's fine. It's only been a month and 4 days. I totally didn't check before then.
I almost forgot what it was like to win again.
Well, you know how it goes though. How's your race? Who'd you like to thank, etc. You get the point in that order as well. But I mean, that was still impressive either way. I will say that. So you've definitely locked yourself in, even though you're pretty much guaranteed to be in, I believe. But I mean, still, you get the point. Let's just go through your entire race.
Yeah, it was a great job by me and DJ getting qualified up there towards the front, and then we were able to hook right up and work together, get away from everybody, and then once I got out in front of them, I just checked out. It's just, I don't know, just the way I was driving, I was just a little bit easier but faster, I guess. I don't know, but I mean, congrats to DJ. We brought it home 1-2 tonight, and congrats to James for bringing it home. I think he came home 5th. He was no practice, showed up with got 1 lap on the track, and then and then friggin' race. So that's pretty good by him.
Yeah, it's absolutely impressive for sure. So pretty much, you guys overall just finished top 10, so it's not too bad. It's actually quite impressive. So oh gosh, I was gonna say something and then I forgot, but actually no, it's probably a question I was just about to ask, which is your thoughts heading into the next 2 weeks in Bristol and Chicagoland.
It's Bristol, so who knows what can happen. I like Bristol. It's been a while since I've been there, but I think it'll still drive pretty much the same. Chicago, I'm pretty good there. It's not about. I'm not worried about trying to win, and it'd be nice to win just to lock ourselves in at Bristol, but just having solid finishes and tonight was a nice, good shot in the arm, get some momentum back after those few weeks of troubles, and got some last week, but come out and dominate like this, it's pretty fun. Hey, tell you what, we just pulled something from Dale Jr.'s book when he was winning at Talladega all those times and stuff. We just moved the firewall back a little bit, so I had a little bit more throttle.
Well, if it works, then it works, and that definitely, it had to be the clean air, probably. It's always the clean air. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, clean air does help. Cause I was tucked in behind DJ. It was definitely a little tighter, but once he missed the corner a little bit and I got a run on him, I just took it, and as we know, just checked out.
Yeah, it definitely is. Yeah, that's not. You're definitely not a stranger to that whatsoever. So before we go ahead and let you go for the 7th time this season, I think, who would you like to thank for your first place finish?
Just my teammates, especially DJ threw up a practice the other day, and we got a little bit of practice for yesterday, so we had a little idea what we need to do with the car and how to get around the track. Just overall our team was always practicing, trying to get better. And then again, congratulations to the DJ coming in second. Also Tim for bringing home P3.
Well,
and thank you for the broadcast.
Yeah, it's for sure pretty interesting to do. It's, week in, week out, the hobby, etc. I don't know what my brain was doing there, but we're going to go ahead and let you go. Congratulations again, though, on your 7th win this season.
Thanks, Harry.
I swear he's trying to pass inspection with that damage there, but congratulations to Sean Butler for the 7th time this season, possibly the most dominant force here. One of the most dominant forces, actually. Second most dominant force is Max Terrio, who now that I realize, I don't believe he was here this week, so, ooh, that could be, actually, no, I could see why he wasn't here this week. He was already locked into ground at number 3, so I'm double-checking the standings right now, and we have unofficial standings. For sure, unofficial standings. Oh, yeah, no, definitely unofficial standings, I believe. So, we'll see who is in the top 8 next week, unfortunately. But before we sign off, as per usual, your upcoming races here on the Racing Line Broadcasting Network. As per usual, next week here on the Red Light Scrambler Series, live at 8:05 p.m. Eastern Time, is the Red Light Scrambler Series in the... actually, I'm not sure what car they're driving that week, unfortunately, but I believe it's the Xfinity cars over at Bristol. If I'm wrong, it's probably the trucks. I should be able to see this, but getting a correction on that in just a couple of moments. It is the... No, it's something. We'll figure it out next week, but other than that, though, Nope, actually, picture unavailable, unfortunately, but for the Fuel Jetstream Media IndyCar Series, they head to the Tech Track of Long Beach for their twin 25-lap race. So 2 25-lap races back-to-back in one night this Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And then Sunday, it is culminated with the Flat Out Racing League, the Cage Cup Series. They head to Auto Club Speedway for their 4th race of the season after taking this week off. So congratulations again to Sean Butler on his 7th win this season. Definitely not a stranger to being in victory lane whatsoever. So we hope to see him once again next week pull off the same dominance that he has pulled off pretty much all season. So as we sign off, we thank you again for watching here for the Red Light Scrambler Series. I have been Gary Weaver, the one-man crew here on the Racing Line Broadcasting Network, and I thank you all for watching and hope to see you next time. Good night.